All right, today we're going to dig into a story about a tech problem that seems, kind of small on the surface, but it has this massive, frustrating impact on users. It's a tale about a 3-week journey to fix something that it should just work.
So, let me ask you this. Have you ever opened an app you use all the time? You're ready to do something and bam, you're logged out. Just like that. No reason, no warning. You just have to sign back in and kind of hope it doesn't happen again. It's one of the most annoying things, right? Well, that exact problem was driving users of an app called Grant Ferry absolutely crazy.
So the problem really came down to this: silent failures. Users would just be using the app, and then out of nowhere, their session would just die. Now, behind the scenes, the app was getting what's called a 401 error, and that's basically tech speak for unauthorized. The app was telling the user, sorry, I don't know who you are anymore. And you can imagine this left people really, really frustrated. So what was this phantom menace causing all the chaos? Well, the investigation pointed to one specific culprit, something called an authentication token. Let's break down exactly what was going wrong here.
Okay, so the way the app used to work was, pretty straightforward. When you logged in, it gave you a sort of digital key, this authentication token. The app would then just store that one key and reuse it for everything you did, right up until it expired. The catch? The system never bothered to check when that key was going to expire.
The best way to think about it is like a hotel key card. You check in, you get your card, and it works perfectly, until suddenly it just doesn't. But imagine the hotel never told you the checkout time. You could be coming back to your room, arms full of bags, only to find out your key is dead. That is exactly what was happening to users, but, digitally, and always at the worst possible moment.
So when the developer realized this was a fundamental flaw, they decided against just a quick patch or a band-aid. No, instead, they went on this quest to rebuild the entire authentication system from the ground up. And this wasn't some minor tweak, it was a major, major undertaking.
And just how major are we talking? Well, it took 3 full weeks. In the world of software, that is a long time to dedicate to refactoring, which is basically rebuilding a system's guts without changing how it looks on the outside. It meant hitting pause on shiny new features to fix this invisible but absolutely critical foundation.
So after all that work, what was the brilliant solution they came up with? Well, it's actually beautiful in its simplicity. Instead of using the same old key until it randomly breaks, why not just get a brand new, guaranteed-to-work key for every single thing you do? And we can actually see the code that makes it all happen right here. Now, you don't have to be a coder to get the main idea. See that comment the developer left? It says it all. Get fresh token for every request. It doesn't reuse an old one. It doesn't try to guess if it's still valid. It just gets a new one every single time. Simple, clean, and you know it's going to work.
And this slide just lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the old way, store one key, hope for the best, and end up with frustrated users. And on the right, the new way, get a fresh key every time, which means every request is valid. And the result? Pure reliability. It's the difference between hoping something works and knowing it will.
So, the big question is, was it worth it? Was spending 3 whole weeks on what some people might call boring behind-the-scenes plumbing a good use of time? Well, let's look at the payoff, because it teaches a really powerful lesson about that kind of work. This number right here, this is the magic number. After that 3-week project was done, how many authentication problems did they have? 0. Zilch. Nada. The problem wasn't just fixed, it was totally eliminated. Those 3 weeks of foundational work, they bought permanent peace of mind.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway from this whole story, summed up perfectly right here. We all get excited about new features, cool designs, all the flashy stuff. But this story is the perfect reminder that the invisible, foundational work, the boring infrastructure, is often what makes or breaks an experience. And that's the thing about great engineering. The next time an app you use just works, without any drama, take a second to appreciate all the boring work you can't see, because it's probably the most important work of all.